Hi guys. Welcome to my channel. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to my channel. Top 11 travel destinations in Karijini National Park, Australia. So make sure to watch the full video. 11 Hiking in Karijini. The hikes in Karijini National Park follow the Australian standard and range in difficulty. Walks in a Class 2 hike may include a few steps and hardened surfaces. Meanwhile, based on the weather, Class 3 might have some unstable surfaces and conditions. With the exception of walking, neither of these levels is particularly challenging. Climbs of Class 4 comprise of normal tracks, so don't anticipate even surfaces. In contrast, Class 5 hikes require a high level of fitness and rough terrain. It's a good idea to have some outdoor experience. If the weather is bad, you shouldn't go on these hikes, because they can be extremely dangerous. If you have already begun the hike, you should leave the area as soon as heavy rain begins to fall, because you will be hiking through gorges, which pose a risk of flash flooding. 10 Mount Bruce, Punyarruna. Mount Bruce, Punyarruna, is the second highest mountain in Western Australia. It is 1,235 meters high. On Mount Bruce, there are a number of hikes, all of which should be started shortly after sunrise because it gets too hot during the day. The parking lot is the starting point for all 3 Mount Bruce hikes, and both the Honey Hakea track and the summit hike go by Mirandu View. 9 Hammersley Gorge. The national park's northwest portion is home to Hammersley Gorge. It is the most remote gorge in Karijini National Park and is quite far from the other gorges. It's a 400-meter trail that takes about an hour to complete. It ends at the spa pool's picturesque Hammersley waterfall, which is probably the national park's most popular photo subject. For the drive to the parking lot, a 4-wheel drive vehicle is recommended, but a 2-wheel drive vehicle is sufficient if you drive slowly. 8 Handrail Pool. The Wino Car Park in Karijini serves as the hike's starting point. When you walk through a narrow passage of towering red rocks, it changes from a Class 3 hike to a Class 5 hike. The last piece of the path not long before the handrail pool can be elusive, so watch where you step. You will need to cling to a handrail as you descend into handrail pool. Don't worry about it because it looks much harder from above. You will be able to complete it if you have made it this far. Additionally, swimming between the towering red walls provides an incredible reward. You can continue the hike to the pool's end if you swim through it. Keep in mind that the water in this pool is colder than the water in the other natural pools in Karijini National Park. Please do not immediately jump in. Give your body time to adjust to the temperature of the water, especially if the air temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius. 7 Hancock Gorge. The Wino parking lot is also where the Hancock Gorge hike begins. There are 2 parts to it. The majority of the gorge hike is Class 5, while the first section is Class 3. Because you will be forced to walk through the water, you should only bring clothing or a bag that is waterproof. You will absolutely want to take pictures as you explore Hancock Gorge, so bring a waterproof camera. If you walk through the gorge without shoes, you will fall. At one point, I made the decision to remove mine, but I ended up regretting it after the first few meters. Let's just say that it makes me happy that there isn't any video of it. Amphitheater, the Spider Walk, and Kermit's Pool are just a few of the attractions in this section, which is the best part of Hancock Gorge. I particularly enjoyed Kermit's Pool, the trail's final destination. 6 Karijini National Park, Gorges Class 6 connection. The region past Kermit's Pool has a Class 6 rating. Those that need to enter it need to get consent from the officers of Karijini Public Park. The area used to be accessible, and the junction pool could be used to make a loop through Hancock Gorge and Wino Gorge. However, this section of the gorge is far too risky for regular hikers, and numerous injuries have occurred there. Despite the fact that doing so may appear tempting, I would never recommend it. Please keep in mind the people who need to save you if you hurt yourself and don't. 5 Joffrey Gorge. Joffrey Gorge. You can walk to Joffrey Gorge from the day parking lot of the gorge or take a path from Karijini Eco Retreat. The 2 routes come at the Joffrey Gorge from different sides, so the hikes can be different lengths. Even though it is Class 4, the first section of the track that leads to Joffrey Falls is fairly easy. At the very least, if you don't mind scaling some larger boulders that lead into the gorge. Some rock slates require a scramble, and you sometimes have to feel rather than see where your feet should be. Therefore, if no one is with you, it is best not to descend. Do yourself a favor and pay close attention to the arrows that show you where to descend. By climbing down to the right of the first descent, you can make a small detour for the first step. The official route is the only safe option after that. The breathtaking view that awaits you after climbing down the cliff is worth the effort, but only if you are prepared to do so and are walking in sturdy footwear. My personal favorite activity in Karijini National Park was the short climb. I loved it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because the exact path isn't clear until you actually climb down each passageway. You can view the amphitheater and falls from above by walking to the lookout if you don't want to descend. If you aren't confident enough in your abilities, don't force yourself to do it. Out of the 10 of us, only 4 completed the final descent to the pool below the Joffre waterfall. When you visit Karijini months after the wet season has ended, the falls are rarely more than a trickle. Nevertheless, it is amazing to stand at the base of the falls. The area is simply stunning and resembles a natural amphitheater with curved walls. Fort Fernpool, Jubora. Fortescue Falls can be reached by walking only 300 meters from Fernpool, Jubora. Even though this section of Dales Gorge is rated as a Class 4, it is incredibly rewarding and relatively simple. Particularly considering that Jubora is the park's only permanent waterfall. You can swim to the waterfall from there by climbing a ladder into the water. It's a very peaceful spot. And it's very peaceful to sit in a little cave under the waterfall. Since the pool is very important to the local indigenous people, please swim there quietly and respectfully. I can only suggest that you go to Fernpool as the sun sets. The changing colors caused by the waning sun only add to the specialness of this part of Karijini National Park. 3 Oxer Lookout and Junction Pool Lookout. Oxer Lookout and Junction Pool Lookout. These 2 lookouts are close to one another and are connected by a narrow trail. They are close to the Weno recreational area, and it takes 30 minutes to walk back 800 meters to get there. The junction of the Joffre, Hancock, Weno, and Red Gorges can be seen from Junction Pool Lookout, which is 130 meters high. Visit these viewpoints because of the stunning views they provide. A group of birds flew through the gorge while I was at the Junction Pool Lookout, which only enhanced the scenery. 2 Wittenoom. Wittenoom, near Karijini Public Park, is an unwanted town with just 2 leftover residents. Nonetheless, visiting this spot isn't without risk. You can go there if you want to, but you should be aware of the potential risk to your health from asbestos mining. Between 1937 and 1966, it is possible, despite the fact that there are numerous warning signs advising you not to. Only the dust of the blue asbestos is harmful when it is in its natural state. Therefore, some claim that going there is acceptable provided that you do not intend to eat anything that has fallen to the ground or tossed dirt into the air. However, breathing in even a single fiber of asbestos can be fatal. I won't be able to tell you what to do in the end. Before you decide to visit Wittenoom, please conduct your own research. If you decide to go, you should not camp there and leave the area after exploring the abandoned town. Furthermore, while exploring the town, it might be prudent to don a mask. The road there is in varying states. Therefore, if you decide to visit Wittenoom, I suggest contacting the fuel station near the national park to inquire about its condition. In general, driving there with a standard rental is preferable. The road there is simple for a 4-wheel drive vehicle to navigate. I admit that I was unsure whether or not to include Wittenoom in this guide to the Karijini National Park. However, in the end, I reasoned that locals might also suggest it to you. As a result, I would prefer it if you were familiar with the threat in general. Make an informed decision by conducting research. Karijini National Park Accommodation. Accommodation in Karijini National Park. There are currently 3 campsites in Karijini National Park. Additionally, the Wiki Camps Australia app makes it simple to locate several nearby free camps. Because of the dazzling landscape, the public park has the absolute best setting up camp in Western Australia. Although this may just be my opinion, I enjoyed seeing the wildflowers and the campsite's proximity to the gorges. As a result, I can only recommend free camping in the national park the night before you hike Mount Bruce, Punyarunna, and camping only within the park. In 2019, a new booking procedure was implemented for the 2 parks and wildlife campgrounds. Therefore, you must reserve your stay in advance. Up to 180 days in advance, you can do so. Even though the national park is a hidden gem, locals still love it, so it's best to plan ahead. We hope you enjoyed the video. Use the comments section below to tell us what you think about the video. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of all the latest videos.